New from Eureka is Hopping Mad, the Mr. Vampire sequels. It has 4 films in this. I was a fan of Mr. Vampire. It took me a couple of watches to really settle into the film because it was such a strange tone. But once I settled into it, I found myself just absolutely loving the film, and I was eager to dive into these 4 sequels, which are captured in this set here. In 1986, they released Mr. Vampire 2. This is a more kind of kid-friendly film. Deals with almost 3 different storylines. We've got archaeologists, grave robbers who dig up a couple of vampires. We have a medicine man who wants to stop the vampires that are starting to break free from the archaeologists. And we've got a group of kids that stumble across a kid vampire, and they have their little sort of kiddie vampire story. I could understand people being really put off by the kid element in the second one. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little sideline. These movies aren't series. They're not supposed to be steadfast, built on mythologies. It's just fun throwaway films, and I felt that it delivered on the entertainment. You get Yoon Biao in this one, who was pretty great and brings a lot of the great action to the forefront here. Some great set pieces. We get not overly grating characters, although a couple of the archaeologists are a little bit bumbling, but not too much. Enough to make it funny, but not more than that. And I really kind of enjoyed that one. But the second movie in the set, Mr. Vampire 3, which came out a year afterwards, was another oddity because there's no vampires in it, which was strange. It's all about ghostly spirits, and I really loved it. The idea of these 2 different monks, one who was more assured, one who was more accomplished, one who could do the stuff but wasn't as well rounded as the other monk, who's using a couple of ghosts to help him haunt someplace so that he can exorcise them, so he can get food and money. But he lives a kind of working relationships, working in tandem with the ghosts to help each other survive. And then when a bad witch comes into the forefront, they have to join forces, these 2 monks, and fight back against her. It had some ridiculously gory sequences, some really fun moments. Richard Newing is the kind of not as great monk in this one, and he's got some fantastic set pieces, particularly when he ends up naked at the end of it, being chased by a deep fried ghost. It has to be seen to be believed, really. Mr. Vampire Saga 4 is a kind of odd couple type of movie. We've got a Taoist monk, a Buddhist monk. They live next door to each other, and they just seem to antagonise each other, butting heads often without going full on angry at each other. Subversive warfare is what's kind of going on here, and it's incredibly funny. Midway through the movie, we get vampires introduced to it, and these vampires are threatening. They're dark, they're deadly as they bite and eat people. They build an army. They feel almost unstoppable, and we have our 2 monk heroes and their 2 servants holed up in the houses trying to hoard off the evil and destroy them. And it becomes fantastic. The sort of end fight is prolonged. The way they set up these various chapters within the fight are just so engaging and fun. I had a lot of fun with this one as well, particularly the relationships of the main characters, which I found really funny and drove it forward. Vampire versus Vampire, the 4th entry in this one, was a little bit different again. It took a while to get to the vampire stuff, and it had lots of supporting characters, and a lot of it detracted me from what I was wanting in here. You know, a lot more was focused on the humour, the kind of interactions, the misgivings of our characters before we got to the vampire action. When the vampire action comes, it is frenetic, just constantly upping the ante with every scene. The vampire again feels very threatening and deadly. You get a lot of characters that get their comeuppance who aren't great in this one, but the set piece at the end from the church into the jungle was just wonderful. I absolutely loved it, but it just took a while to get to that. The extras in this disc are pretty good. Some good commentaries on this one as well. Let's dive in and have a look. Here we are in the disc for Mr. Vampire 2. For Mr. Vampire 2, we have the Cantonese original mono, the English dub original mono, and an audio commentary by Frank Jeng. For Mr. Vampire 3, we have the Cantonese original mono, audio commentary by Mike Leader and Arn Venema, and we have an audio commentary with Frank Jeng and John Charles. For the special features, we have Taoist Cinema, The World of Mr. Vampire, which is 11 minutes 51, talking to a Taoist monk about the origins of Chinese vampires and exorcisms that have taken place. It's an interesting idea for an extra, and I think it's highly entertaining. We have Mr. Vampire 2 Extended Scenes, which runs at 6 minutes 38. We have the Mr. Vampire trailer, which is 4 minutes 12, and Mr. Vampire 3 trailer, which is 3 minutes 19. Here we are in the second disc of the Hopping Mad set. We have Mr. Vampire Saga 4 with the Cantonese original mono. We have a commentary by Mike Leader and Arn Venema. We have Vampire vs. Vampire with the original mono Cantonese, the home video mix Cantonese, and an audio commentary by Frank Jeng. And the special features, we have Vampire Legacy, which runs at 16 minutes 44, which is an interesting look at some things that were inspired by the film. We have Zero Man, a figurine company that models its figures after some of the vampires, particularly I think the kid from part 3, or maybe part 2 as well, I suppose. We have Mr. Vampire Saga 4 trailer, which is 3 minutes 46, and Vampire vs. Vampire trailer, which is 2 minutes 44. And that's the discs for the Hopping Mad set. In addition to that, we get a booklet in this one. It's a 24-page booklet. We have Bouncing Back, Return of the Hopping Vampires, an article by James Oliver, which really delves into the legacy of the Mr. Vampire films. It's a fascinating read. So there we have it. Hopping Mad, the Mr. Vampire sequels. I thought it was great. I loved 3 of the films. I liked the 4th one. I'm glad to have all these things that I never have experienced before, and found a real fun and affinity to watch these movies. If you liked the Mr. Vampire, the first one, I think there's some here that rival that better than it even, in my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts on the Mr. Vampire set. Did you pick it up? Did you like the first one? What was your favourite movie from this set? Let me know in the comment box below. And well done, hit the thumbs up. It really helps these videos. There's more content up here. You can see more of my stuff in the description box below. Our links to the Patreon, the membership program, and manvfilm.com. All ways in which you can support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.